The webinar today is basically on Vision 10-10-10-10, which is to inspire at least 10 knowledge institutions to accelerate innovation and have at least 10% equity in 10 listed companies within the next 10 years. That is our Vision 10-10-10-10. And you might be asking, why is it that every time we are talking about Vision 10-10-10-10-10, this is what it all means. So have it at the back of your mind that the sole vision of Triple Helix Nigeria is to ensure that we inspire 10 knowledge institutions to accelerate innovation and have at least 10% equity in 10 listed companies within the next 10 years. And we also have 4 pillars, and each having their KPIs upon which we strive to achieve this vision. And they are, number 1, entrepreneurial orientation, then research and development collaboration. We also have innovation infrastructure development and innovation financing. These are the 4 pillars for our Vision 10-10-10-10. But we will talk more on this during our monthly meetings, which will be holding by next week. So on this note, we will move ahead with the proceedings for today's meeting. I will go further to introduce the moderator of this session, who is no other person than Barrister Shehu Mustafa, a legal practitioner and dispute resolution, advisory, and transactions. Shehu Mustafa is a distinguished legal advisor, arbitration specialist, and commercial litigator with over 17 years of experience across advisory, dispute resolution, and regulatory practice. He is a notary public and currently serves as legal advisor to Dalhousie University, where he provides strategic counsel on complex legal and institutional matters. He previously held senior roles at Aluko and Oyebode, rising to managing associate and representing clients in high-level disputes, insolvency, and arbitration. His early career includes advisory roles at Olaniwu, Ajayi LP, and public service as legal officer at the Niger State Ministry of Justice. Shehu also advises on research funding and collaboration agreements in academic settings. Internationally, Shehu has worked with Hodgen Lovells in London, Allen and Gledhill LLP in Singapore, and the Southern Africa Litigation Center. He served as regional representative for LCIA YIAG, promoting youth engagement in arbitration. In 2015, he was a Commonwealth Professional Fellow with a placement in a London law firm. Shehu also holds dual LMS from National University of Singapore and NYU School of Law, and an LLB from Ambrose Ali University. He is an associate of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria and a recognized contributor to Nigeria's legal and innovation ecosystem. So, ladies and gentlemen on the call, I want us to make welcome our moderator of today, who is no other person than Shehu Mustafa, who will be walking us through the webinar section. So thank you, Shehu Mustafa, as you take over. Let's give a clapping ovation to our moderator. Thank you very much, our moderator. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure. The panelists, I thought they will be introduced as well before we get into it.
No,
okay, should I go ahead with that, or can you do that, sir?
Yes, please. Yes, please. I think I would appreciate if you would help with the introduction of the panelists as well. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, sir. So going ahead with the panelists, first on my list is Professor DST Ogaji. the Center Leader, Africa Center of Excellence for Public Health and Toxicological Research, ACPUTO, University of Port Harcourt. Professor Daprim Samuel Tamuno Ojuemi Ogaji is a seasoned academic and public health expert with publications spanning MBBS, MQI, MBA, PhD, and multiple fellowships. He is the director of the African Center of Excellence in Public Health and Toxicological Research at the University of Port Harcourt, and formerly led departments in both the university and East Teaching Hospital. His academic journey includes training in Nigeria, Finland, the UK, and Wales, with fellows in public health and healthcare quality. He has authored over 100 scientific publications focused on health system improvement, equity, and chronic disease management. His expertise spans quantitative research, program evaluation, and leadership in public health. Professor Ogaji has supervised more than 80 master's dissertations and 15 doctoral theses, and led the creation of 2 major academic platforms, ACPUTO and UPH-SPH, which collectively serve over 1,700 postgraduate students across Africa. Professor Ogaji holds numerous leadership roles within the University of Port Harcourt and national health bodies. He is editor-in-chief of the Scopus Index Nigerian Health Journal and serves on editorial boards and review panels for several international journals. His grant portfolio exceeds $7 million, and he has held key consultancy and advisory roles in national health initiatives. He is married to Dr. Folake Margaret Ogaji, and they are blessed with 3 children. Please, can we give him a clapping ovation?
Thank you very much for that, and welcome everyone to this section.
All right, thank you very much, Prof. Then next is Professor Abel I. Olayinka. Professor Abel I. Olayinka is the former Vice Chancellor of University of Ibadan. He is a renowned geophysicist, an academic leader with a distinguished career spanning over 3 decades. He earned his BSc in geology from the University of Ibadan, MSc in geophysics from Imperial College London, and PhD in applied geophysics from the University of Birmingham. His postdoctoral research was conducted at technical universities in the Braunschweig and Berlin under that and Humboldt Fellowship. He joined the University of Ibadan in 1988 and rose to the rank of professor in 1999. He has supervised 18 PhD theses and served as visiting professor and external assessor across numerous institutions. As Dean of Postgraduate School, he initiated scholarship and assistantship schemes, overseas conference grants, and research capacity building workshops. His tenure as Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic focused on governance, scholarship, and staff welfare. As Vice Chancellor, he led UI into the Times Higher Education Global Rankings and oversaw the creation of 4 new faculties and 22 departments. Professor Olayinka has held leadership roles in Warema, ARA, and the Association of Commonwealth Universities. He is a fellow of multiple professional bodies, including the Nigerian Academy of Science, Geological Society of London, and European Federation of Geologists. He received the Osun State Merit Award in 2024 and continues to contribute to academia through teaching, mentoring, and public lectures. His visiting appointments span institutions in Nigeria and Germany. Currently, he serves as Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of Council at West Midlands Open University and sits on the Council of Adeleke University. He chairs the board of Multiverse Mining and Exploration Nigeria PLC. Professor Olayinka is married to Dr. Eyiwumi Olutito Olayinka, a senior lecturer in French at the University of Ibadan, and they are blessed with 2 children. His legacy reflects excellence in research, leadership, and institutional development. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make welcome Professor Abel Olayinka to the call.
Thank you, the moderator. It's a pleasure for me to be on the call.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you.
So going further, we will make welcome Mrs. Yejide Akiwumi, who also serves as Director of Consultancy Services, National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion. Mrs. Yejide Olaweyimisi Akinkumi, Director of Consultancy Services at NOTAP, earned her OND in Drug and Chemical Technology from Lagos State Polytechnics, followed by a BTech in Industrial Chemistry from FUTA in 1990. She later obtained an MBA in Marketing Management for LAUTECH in 2002 and an MSc in Analytical Chemistry from the University of Abuja in 2009. Mrs. Akinkumi joined NOTAP on 2nd November 1992 as Analyst 2, Patent Examiner, and steadily rose through various departments, including PIDC, Technology Transfer Registration, and Innovation and Commercialization. Her dedication culminated in her appointment as Director on 1st January 2020. She has received extensive training in intellectual property through WIPO, earning certifications in software licensing, trademarks, patents, copyrights, and IP management. Her expertise spans traditional knowledge, patent drafting, and IP in public health and life sciences. Internationally, she has participated in specialized programs such as patent search and examination in biotechnology at GPTU, Munich, and IP licensing at CIPI. University of Strasbourg, additional trainings include leadership and entrepreneurship in Israel and women's innovation leadership in Malaysia. As a Commonwealth Fellow at MUIA, University of Manchester, she researched innovation models and SME development through UK Foresight strategies, further enriching her global perspective on technology transfer. Domestically, Ms. Akinkumi has attended strategic courses at CMD, ASCON, and NEPSIS, enhances her leadership and policy-making skills. She contributed to academic research with publication on cola starch in the African Journal of Food, Agriculture, and Nutrition and Development. A devoted family woman, she is married to Pastor Olamide Akinkumi and is blessed with 4 children, 3 sons and a daughter. Her career reflects a blend of scientific expertise, strategic leadership, and international collaboration. Let's make welcome Mrs. Yejide Akinkumi as one of the panel.
Madam, welcome.
All right, going further on the call, we also have one of our panelists, Dr. Ademola Kaka, the Deputy Manager, Research and Statistics, Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, NCDMB. Engineer Ademola Kaka is a distinguished professional with a doctorate in computer engineering from Kibris Olarusa University. With over 13 years of dedicated service at the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, NCDMB, he currently serves as Deputy Manager, Research and Statistics. He also holds the strategic role of Deputy Lead Coordinator for the establishment of the Oloibiri Museum and Research Center, a landmark initiative aimed at preserving Nigeria's petroleum heritage. His career at NCDMB spans several key positions, including Deputy Manager of the Technology Innovation and Incubation Center between 2023 to January 2025, Deputy Manager of Research and Development 2018 to January 2025, and Supervisor in the Projects and Operations Department 2012 to 2018. Engineer Kaka played a pivotal role in the development of the NCDMB 10-year R&D research strategic roadmap and the Nigerian Content R&D Fund framework in 2019. He also contributed to the creation of the Applied Research and Product Development Templates and the Technical Advisory Board framework. Engineer Kaka was instrumental in establishing the Technology Innovation and Incubation Center in Yenagoa, and supported the development of 6 research centers of excellence across Nigeria. His efforts extended to the realignment of the Adopt a Faculty initiative and the evaluation and funding of over 20 applied research projects. Notably, he facilitated the transition of AMAL Technologies' smart gas leak detector from research to commercialization, demonstrating his commitment to innovation and technology readiness. He is an active member of several intergovernmental and national committees, including the Nigerian Upstream Cost Optimization Program, NOCOP, and the Industrial-Wide Implementation Committee for in-country manufacturing of oil field equipment. A prolific author, Engineer Kaka has published extensively in next-generation wireless networks and telecommunication. He is a Korean registered engineer and a member of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, NSE, and the Society of Petroleum Engineers, SPE, reflecting his broad expertise and professional standing. Let's also make welcome Dr. Ademola Kaka, one of our panelists. So having introduced our panelists, I want to once again hand over to our moderator to walk us through the panel session. Thank you very much, Barrister Shehu Mustafa.
Thank you very much, Dr. Olu, and thank you everyone for attending. It's an honor to be before you today and to be moderating a panel constituted by such eminent academics and industry leaders. So we'll jump right into it. We need to manage our time and we'll get right into it. My first question goes to Professor Ogaji. And so, Prof, the question for you is this. This webinar is about unlocking innovation through industry fellowships. So what are industry fellowships? What industry fellowships currently exist in Nigeria, and how do they work? And what can be done to improve awareness about their existence?
Yeah, thank you for that question. There are a couple of industry fellowships that exist in Nigeria now, especially depending on the zone and also the university. But you can generally look at this fellowship in terms of the duration, as either short, medium, or long term. So we've seen fellowship where opportunities where academics in the university are engaged, by the industry for short-term engagements in terms of developing either a policy or solving an immediate problem within that sector. And this could last for as short as 1 month or less. We can also see situations where they spend more time, on a structured arrangement, and could stay for a couple of months. But the university recognized the fact that academics can actually spend time up to a year in university after meeting certain conditions as sabbatical. And I think most of the destination for this is actually the industry, and so on. And we see situations where there are major uptakers, of this fellowship, especially, we just heard about the Content Development Board, TED Fund, big companies, the multinationals like Renaissance, NNPC, and so on. How do they work? The fellowship will work in a way, in a system where people are expected to maybe come there as academics, spend time within the industry, and kind of work within, hopefully within the R&D sector and other aspects of the industry, or they could have a formal secondment. In that way, the academics can take a leave of absence, from the university, and go spend time in the industry, doing certain things in line with the MOU between the university and the industry. But we've also seen situations where industries go out of their way to come into the university and establish, certain endowments or professorial chair or scholarship or grants or even build innovation centers, within the university. And we're seeing greater engagement in that regard, and this is quite commendable. Faculties can also do exchange programs, generally in sectors or in other academic institutions, both in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. But if you look at all this, you find out from a critical appraiser, that these are happening, but there's need for a strategic plan, for ensuring that this is intentional and is meant to achieve the goal, especially with respect to driving innovation, in our system. And there's also need to have a structured metrics. Unfortunately, in university system as we have it today, the appraisal system does not favor innovation. In that regard, appraisals are generally looked into with respect to publications and teaching and so on. So there's need for incentivizing fellowships in the Nigerian system, and also developing a stronger database of where this could happen and how university academics, can actually assess opportunities available within outside the country. And that, I think, within many universities, we have the exchange and linkage system and units, that can comfortably handle all that. So we see also a situation where the handshake between the university and the industry need to extend and be improved. In that regard, we will see a situation where universities and industries kind of work together to promote embedded research, in industry. And Uniport is also doing a lot in this regard, especially with the 60-30-10, curriculum systems, where, for every training, we expect to see, that kind of spread of faculties, across the industry, across government sector, participating in teaching and teaching within the university. So I think in this regard, we are moving in the right direction. There is greater need for intentionality, for building up a strategic plan, that can help us harness the huge potential in university industry partnership for innovation in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Ogaji. A very nice elucidation on the state of play and what can be done to make things better. I think you sort of broach on the question which flows next to Professor Olayinka, which is, what do universities currently do and what can they do to facilitate the establishment of such industry fellowships? I think I had talk about the appraisal system being more skewed towards publication than innovation, but Professor Olayinka, please, over to you. What can universities do? What do they do currently and what can they do?
You hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
You can hear me, okay. I think building on the detailed exposition by the last speaker, in terms of what universities can do, I think starting from first principles, it's been necessary for each institution, I mean university in this case now, for those of us in academia, to have an inventory of our staff and the kind of projects they are involved with, and their postgraduate students, their research students, even undergraduate students, the various research projects that they are involved with, such that a potential industry partner can know our strength, where our strengths lie. We cannot claim to be master of all, but there will be areas in which we're able to bring something to the table. So the first point will be to have a list of our experts in various fields, beyond just their publications and their academic degrees, their current areas of expertise, and possibly a few publications in the last 4 or 5 years. If that can be part of the link can be available on our website, so that potential industry partners can even just look at our webpage and say, okay, Professor XYZ in Calabar or Sokoto has something to offer in this particular area. I mean, that's on the part of each university, for example, using university now as a surrogate for all the research and development institutions to showcase what we have. I mean, we have to start from first principles. Then maybe the next stage would be to identify the industry partners with whom we can collaborate. We will not be able to collaborate with all the companies listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, but some that are relevant to our areas of expertise, to identify them and then work as much as possible to deepen the linkage or even start new ones. Then, of course, as part of the triple helix model that we are interested in, to look at a possible linkage with the government to provide the enabling environment. Maybe students want to go and do their project, or an academic staff wants to go and spend his or sabbatical leave in an oil company or in a bank or wherever. NOTAP can also be of assistance here. And when I say this, of course, I mean academia, but we know that it should be multiple traffic. It should not be from academia to industry alone. People from industry should also have opportunity to come to the university, either to supervise students or co-supervise students at master's and at PhD level. I mean, these are informal structures that, I mean, I'm sure they already exist, but we can deepen them, knowing full well that most of the advances now are not limited to particular disciplines. So we should forget the idea of living in silos. We cannot claim that we can do everything on our own. So we need the support of the industry as well as the government. And at the University of Ibadan, one of the things we have been doing maybe over the last 12 years or thereabouts is that we have a research and development fair, whereby during the last week of October or first week of November every year, we have what we call research and development fair, whereby we try to invite people from industry with government to see what we are doing, maybe except for 2020, 2021 because of COVID. So every year, and it's not just to have this hanging there, we cascaded it to departmental and faculty levels so that each department, because in the university, the department is the academic cell, not even the Vice Chancellor's office. So what are you doing? Is it in computer science or artificial intelligence or whatever it is? So there is even a competition. We try to incentivize them and then also link them with the relevant industry partners. And all these are now under the Office of Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research, Innovation, and Strategic Partnerships. So we think if we continue along this line, then there will be, I mean, greater productivity to link with industry, to also link with the government. Government also has a role. I think NOTAP is a government establishment. So when people also have brilliant ideas that they want to patent, it would be nice if we contact the office of the patenting office in Abuja. I think these are just my initial remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Olayinka. I think if I were to summarize, I would say the ideas you've put on the table are the need for skills inventory, the need to deepen existing and create new linkages with industry and across government, and then the need to put out what is available. So the R&D fair that they do in Ibadan, for example. Thank you very much for these ideas. I think the linkage with government carries on neatly into the question I have for Mrs. Akinkunmi, the NOTAP, the director from NOTAP. Mrs. Akinkunmi, it's over to you now. So one of the goals of NOTAP, or the goals of NOTAP, include regulation of inflow of foreign technology and the promotion of indigenous technology, as well as the promotion of research industry linkages. What specific programs does NOTAP have in place to achieve these goals?
Okay, thank you very much. I'm so happy and delighted to be part of this panel discussion. And I want to thank my Director General for this nomination. First and foremost, the goals of NOTAP, among others, include the regulation of inflow of foreign technology. And we have put in place so many programs that are specific to achieve these goals. We discovered that there is a weak synergy between the government, academia, and the industry. And by virtue of the vantage position we have, because we have many multinational companies coming to the office for registration and evaluation of their technology transfer agreements, So we discovered that rather than these companies going outside the shores of Nigeria to undertake research, we came up with many initiatives. And one of the initiatives is the NOTAP Industry Technology Transfer Fellowship, which is a public-private partnership platform designed to create indigenous critical technological competence of elite applied knowledge workers in Nigeria through special PhD programs studiable in Nigerian universities. And this model is actually the practical aspect of the triple helix model of innovation, whereby the industry provide the fund and the research topics, because we don't want the universities to undertake basic research as usual. We want them to undertake applied research. So, and the companies actually have been willing to participate with us. We have many of them, the likes of Nestle Nigerian PLC, PZ Cussons Nigerian PLC, Dufil Primer, Julius Berger, all of them that have technology transfer agreements with NOTAP. And they have been doing this for the past 2015, we have about 24 NITTF beneficiaries now, cut across industries, area of specialization. And we have participating universities as well, like University of Ibadan, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University, we have Ahmadu Bello University, Federal University of Technology, Akure, we have Usmanu Danfodio University, and many of them, like the Nasarawa State University, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, these are where all the fellowships are attainable based on the research topics provided by the companies. And currently, we are about to start the 5th batch, and advertisements have been placed, requesting for applications, and many companies like the likes of Guinness Nigerian PLC, Lafarge PLC, most of them, they have Okomu Oil Palms, they have keyed into this initiative. Cypher Crescent too, even though they don't have a technology transfer agreement, because they are part of our stakeholders in this journey. So we have many collaborators and stakeholders like the NUC, Committee of Vice Chancellors, and so on. These are our stakeholders. And you can see, even the Triple Helix too, they are part of our stakeholders now. National Content Development Management Board, they are part of our stakeholders. So we have many initiatives to carry out this research based on specific needs of the companies. And the impact have been so alarming. For instance, some of these graduates, after having their PhD, they will not just have the title, but they have the mantle also to operate. Reason is that once they have the title as well, having their PhD, they have the mandate and mantle as well to push out a technology-driven researches. We have 3 already that they are planning to file for their patent application. So the patent applications will be jointly owned by the applicant, the company, and the university where the research was carried out. And I want to appreciate all our stakeholders, especially all these multinational companies. Some of them, they've allowed these NITTF beneficiaries and their supervisor to actually undertake a monitoring visit, like an industrial visit to their company. They open up all their production processes so that they will learn, and they will now go back to the laboratory to chunk out a commercializable, market-driven product. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Akinkunmi. It's interesting to hear what is the programs that have been put in place. I hear a lot of talk about synergy, the need to actually have industry work with industry for specific applied research so that the research is targeted at solving practical problems. Thank you very much. All of these are the things would like to hear, the things that will definitely unlock innovation in the Nigerian research environment. I understand that Dr. Kaka is having technology challenges, so I will just come back to Professor Ogaji. Prof, thank you again. And my next question to you is as follows. So we have the CWES model for undergraduates. It's been in place for many years. We keep hearing innovation will usually happen at postgraduate level, although anybody can innovate, but it's more common at the postgraduate level. So how would you see the impact, how would you assess the impact of CWES towards improving innovation? And do you think we need a CWES model at the postgraduate level?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. I think it's a good lesson to learn. The CWES, which is the Student Industrial Work Experience Scheme, has been on for at least half a century in Nigeria, although the history is checkered with a lot of partial successes and outright failure. But recently it has picked up and seems to be doing very well. Now, this is funded mainly by the ITF, which is Industrial Training Fund, and supervised by the various agencies and commission in charge of universities, colleges of education, and boards of technical education. And so now they're doing very well. So having served that purpose, it has provided opportunities for millions of undergraduate students to participate in a supervised industrial work scheme. So we have ample evidence to know what the lessons we can learn and how to translate these lessons into the postgraduate training. You know, one of the positive sides is the fact that with the availability of funding from the ITF, you know, CWES is able to support, you know, the internship process for millions of undergraduate students. So we see the importance of funding, you know, in the entire engagement. We also see that within the industry, these students can learn, you know, specific skills, you know, that are able to, like, if I use the word from Akinkume, make them not only be title holders, but mandate or having that, you know, the skill that makes them industry-ready graduates, you know, so they can fit into the industry or into whatever field they have chosen to be. In a limited sense, we've seen innovation come out of this, you know, and this is one of the areas we need to strengthen, you know, within that scheme, you know, but there have been a little bit of the backside of it, you know, talking about the limitations, you know, of the current scheme, which again, we can learn lessons from. And this is because for many students, when they get into the industry, they are not involved with the core research and development aspect of the industry. They may be kept to do clerical work or some menial work, you know, while the time, you know, they are there lapses. So this becomes a challenge, you know, in that sense. Now, having said this, we see that CWES had contributed meaningfully, you know, to preparing this younger workforce, you know, for our country. How do we translate it into the postgraduate training? Now, postgraduate training is more research and more solution-driven, you know. So if we can get into a system, a structured system that can be able to support, you know, the industry attachment of postgraduate students, you know, that will make a lot of sense. Just as we have the ITF do that for this. There could be an extension of the ITF, you know, to look into the postgraduate aspect. But more importantly, the fact that the posting of postgraduate students should be strategic. You know, postgraduate students, like the experience we have in the Center of Excellence, where industry supervisors are involved in many of the postgraduate student supervision, what that creates is a situation where the academic and the industry co-create, co-supervise, co-publish, and following publication, co-implement the findings, you know, from those publications, from those research that have been conducted. So if we can develop that kind of synergy, you know, between the industry and the academics at the postgraduate level, that would be very, very important. There's also need for incentivizing, you know, this arrangement. And this could come through government, especially the TED Fund, the ITF, you know, or from subsidies from the university, from the industry. Now, if the industry do those subsidies, government needs to come in, maybe with tax incentives, tax rebate, and so on, so as to support a long-term and sustainable, engagement or provision of these services by the industry. It also needs to be said that for many postgraduate programs which are time-based, the time for engaging the industry or internship can be flexible to enable this postgraduate student understand this and use this time meaningfully. For them, it would be nice if the industry provides a bench, for them to do their research, so they can decide to do that for 6 months or 12 years, especially for the doctoral student, and that becomes very meaningful. But in all these situations, the relationship between the university and the industry in terms of postgraduate exposure should be mutually beneficial. What that means is that these postgraduate students should understand that they are going there to solve the problems in the industry and not just go there to take notes and write reports. And so the university needs to demand from them, to demonstrate or showcase what they have done at the end of every section, of sending postgraduate students to this industry. And I believe with that, it will strengthen the resolve of this postgraduate student to see that they go into the industry and create local solutions to their problems. And finally, I would like to see a situation where the government, meaning the federal government, should come up with a focus scheme that we encourage, postgraduate internship and innovation and engagement with the industry for the purpose of innovation, and creating solutions to our local problem. That could be like a postgraduate research industry fellowship scheme, that kind of provide the funding, the strategy behind, and also the platform, that will enable universities latch onto, and strengthen that collaboration, for the improvement of the Nigerian society. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share this view.
Thank you, Prof. So much I thought this was the subsidiary question, but so much in such a short time. You've talked about focused schemes that should be mutually beneficial. The students should understand they are not just going to write reports, but to solve real problems. You've talked about the need to co-create, co-publish, and co-implement. Again, brilliant ideas, and it's nice that we've got government representatives here who also seem to be speaking the same language. It seems like we're all on the same page, and it's just to move to taking these brilliant ideas and further refining the ones that haven't already been taken on board. So thank you, Prof. Ogaji. I will now move to back to Professor Olayinka. I don't think we have Dr. Kaka yet still. So I will move to Professor Olayinka. Prof, my next question for you is, so how can universities improve collaboration with industry in promoting research that focuses on solving practical problems? I think Ms. Akintomi from NUSAP talked about applied research and asking industry to identify some problems to be solved, but I would like to hear from you. What can universities do to improve those collaborations to solve practical problems, for innovation that solves practical problems?
Okay, thank you for having me back for this next round. And I think the summary of it is to the fact that universities need to be more intentional about this topic or scheme or project. So what I mean is that for us as universities anywhere in the world, what distinguishes a university from other tiers of education like elementary and secondary is because we do research work. I mean, in secondary school, all of us attended secondary school. They also teach chemistry in secondary school, just like they teach chemistry in the university. But what ordinarily distinguishes the chemistry teacher in the university from the chemistry teacher in secondary school is that the chemistry teacher in the university is expected to also do research. I'm just using that one as an example, or mathematics, or they don't teach engineering in secondary school, but they even do computer studies in secondary school now, just like they have computer science departments or faculty now. So what I'm trying to say is that the key word for university is that you must do research work, whether as students or as undergraduate or postgraduate or as faculty members. And we all agree that to do research is very expensive. There is no doubt about that. And that's why faculty members or even universities have to look for extra sources of funding, whether through grants, alumni donations, friends and all that, to do our research work. The point is that to do research is important, but the output of your research work, whether as a thesis or as an article in a journal, should not be an end in itself. It should be a means to an end. So from research work, we expect that you take it to development. Not that the same researcher who has conducted research in his experiment in his laboratory for the last 3 years and came out with good results will also be the same person that we involved in a project development. But the point is that to do research is expensive, but to take it to development stage is even more expensive. Then what's still to now bring it to the level of innovation is much more expensive. And studies have shown that for every $1 that you do in conducting research, you need $10 to take it to development stage, then another $100 to take it to innovation stage. And of course, you know that the transition from research through development to innovation is not linear. Many of those works that you think are fantastic ideas will probably evaporate within the valley of death. So it's in our best interest to now collaborate with people who can take our research results, as novel, as important as they are, to the level of development, maybe prototype and all that, then further to the level of innovation. So it's important for us in our own enlightened self-interest. If you do your research is generating additional income through the work that the beautiful work they're doing in NOTAP and other establishments. So more funds will also be plowed back to the research group. Then that is very important. RDI, research, development, innovation. Like I said, it's not so much as if the transition is seamless. I mean, at times you think it's easier said than done. Then those who are in the industry, just like we have mentioned on this call, we should encourage them, either as adjunct faculty or visiting professors or professors of practice, knowing full well that they have something to add, they are in a position to add value to what we are doing in the universities. So our core mandate is research. And also most universities now, they even look at your innovation. Like in our university, if you have the best of articles in the journal, I think it carries maximum of 5 points, depending on the impact factor, the content and all that. But if you come up with a patent, again, it carries 10 points. At least when I was a member of the Appointment and Promotions Committee, I don't think the template has changed. So we recognize that even though when you are appointed, you say you must carry out teaching, research, and a community service. So in this context, the innovation and the rest of them is part of community work, because the university cannot continue to be an ivory tower. We are supposed to influence our immediate environment while still being relevant to the outside world. So I think it's in our own interest to make sure that anything that can help us become more productive. People have also mentioned having innovation hubs and all that. So we cannot rest on just doing your research and you publish in the journal. Fine, but what next? But it's still important for us to add the fundamental thing that we must good research. Whether you do it in Port Harcourt or Brisbane, Australia, or Jamaica in Kingston, Jamaica, it won't make any difference. Especially in science, research is research. The formula for water will always be H2O, irrespective of whichever part of the world you have carried out your research. But it's important for us to do good research first. Thank you. I think that these are just my initial thoughts on this.
Thank you, Prof. Again, wonderful ideas. And to summarize, you've talked about the need for funding, how capital-intensive research is, and then development is even more so, and then innovation is even more so. You talked about the need for collaboration, the need to get industry experts involved in the universities, maybe as adjunct faculty or some to play some role in helping to foster the research environment in the universities. And also you've talked about how the evaluation metrics can be used to incentivize researchers so that a patent should carry significant weight in promotion assessments. So thank you very much for these ideas. I will now go back to Ms. Akinkunmi. The original second question I had for you, you sort of answered it in your initial contribution, where you talked about the NITTF and how that's a fellowship that has been established with the collaboration of NOTAP and some industry partners, and how it's in its 5th batch now. So the question for you is really, how can these fellowships, the outcome of these fellowships, how do we ensure that they translate into long-term economic impact? Are there what feedback mechanism, what evaluation mechanism do you have? So for the first 4 batches, for example, of the NITTF, what assessments have been done to see what impact they've had? Thank you very much.
Actually, it has many impacts, which I will not be able to enumerate fully here. You know, by virtue of our relationship with these multinational companies, we also discover as well that most of these universities, some of them lack some infrastructure. So one of the multinational companies, so that it can enhance the research output, have been able to upgrade 10 universities' laboratories, 9 precisely, and then 1 at NARIT. In fact, many of these universities that have such facilities have made tremendous impact based on what has been supplied to them by infrastructure-wise. The likes of University of Calabar, Modibo Adamawa University, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University, some of them, they have the NITTF beneficiaries domiciled there. Like in FUTA, the company was able to supply ICP-OES that is very difficult. It can analyze how many kind of elements at once, and they have been so happy. And their NITTF beneficiary too just started our own fellowship via the sponsorship of Nestu Nigerian PLC. And you know that some of these companies, because they are the one that sponsors this research, anytime we are undertaking a monitoring visit to these universities, their principal officers have always attended. I could recall the last time we went for one oral viva at University of Ibadan. The incumbent VC was in attendance with the company representatives. That has been the style, because even NOTAP, as a government agency, we cannot undertake that monitoring visit alone without the involvement of the multinational companies. So because where your treasure is, there is your heart. Because they have committed so much into it, so they are prepared to be part of the monitoring visit. Like the first batch, sponsored by Nestu Nigeria PLC, the fellowship was domiciled at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. The lady came up with a winning formula, which they were so happy about. And their planning now is no longer basic research. It's a market-driven research. And the company is ready to uptake that research. Similarly, the Dufy Primer, the manufacturer of Indomie noodles, their NITTF beneficiary has come up with something novel that they could not even believe that such product can come out from that kind of raw materials. They were in attendance and they were so happy and excited about it. And they are planning to even patent it. But we don't want the students alone and the university to patent it, because this is a joint research. Everybody must be involved in the patent application. So because you never can tell, the product at the end of the day, the royalty, all those things will be spelled out, because we have an MOU guiding that fellowship. So we have many impactful innovations that have come out, like Nigerian Breweries PLC, their home beneficiary, domicile at Nasarawa State University, KEFI, came up with another sources of raw materials to fortify the mortar beverages. So these are some of the things we are looking into in NOTAP. And we facilitate the patenting on their behalf, free of charge. Anybody that has any application, new invention, we are not the patent office. We will just evaluate it, then send it to patent office. And from our own hand, it is free of charge. The candidate does not need to pay for any patenting, but for the maintenance between the candidate and the company, they will start maintaining their patent. But the first application is filed by NOTAP free of charge at the patent office for their patent certificate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Akinkunmi. Unfortunately, Dr. Kaka still has technology challenges, I think. So I will take the questions from the audience. The first question I have here, I've taken one already for Mrs. Akinkunmi, but the first question I have here is from Ibrahim Adamu, and it's a question directed at Professor Ogaji. The question says, how can someone be part of this program? This program, I am assuming, means industry research fellowships. I'm not sure. But if Professor Ogaji understands the question better, or if the Ibrahim Adamu can clarify what he means by this program, I think that will help.
Well, because it's an equivocation, I think we take it on both sides. If on the one hand, he's talking about being part of the Triple Helix Nigerian program, I believe that if he has registered, the organizers have his details and all those who have registered, and I think they can follow up with subsequent programs, and activities of the Triple Helix Nigeria. On the other hand, we talked about the issue of having a one-stop station in university system that can be a repository, for fellowships, where all fellowships available, can be, people can get into those sites and be able to understand that many universities don't have that. People stumble into information from diverse sources and so on. So universities should get organized to the point of having an office. Like in many universities, you have the Office of the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research and Development. In some others, they have partnership office or linkage office, as the case may be. I think clear mandates are required for universities to have that structure that will be able to attract, more of these opportunities for its faculty, and people like Adamu can also be part of that. But I believe too, going out of the university, looking at the national scene, which I think Madam Akinkunmi has rightly said, there's need for stronger coordination, because university may tap from what is happening at the national, for the benefit of the university itself. So the national should have a database maybe across all the various commissions and agencies, making supervising the highest education sector in Nigeria, and be able to support university in their quest, for access, to fellowship programs for postgraduate students, faculties, and also that of strengthening the undergraduate, internship system. I think these are opportunities that are staring us at the face, and we need to grab them with both hands. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Prof. I think the need for a centralized database cannot be overemphasized. You said it the first time, and you've expanded on it again this time. So again, I hope everyone who is in the audience who has a role to play in such things is listening and taking the right notes for further action when they go back. So there's a question here directed at Professor Olayinka, which is, and I think Prof may have touched on it a little, but I think it's now to zero in, which is how can industry fellowship programs be better structured? So I guess the design of the programs, the fellowship programs themselves, to close the gap between academic training and specific skill demands of Nigerian industries.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, like I mentioned in a passing, that it will be necessary for each university to have a list of all their postgraduate students and faculty members who are active in various areas of research, and some of them that can also be interesting to people in the private sector. Then to have a deliberate policy of having industry partners, so that it's not always we versus them. So right from the time you are conceiving a research topic, the industry people are already taking into confidence. They can even suggest that this is the kind of problem, maybe it's a software that requires upgrading. So rather than outsource it to a company outside the country, they may think it's cheaper to relate with a university section in the artificial intelligence or an interdisciplinary group. And if so, I think that would be a good starting point. So it's not. I think the representative of NOTAP mentioned the fact that they are not interested in just a basic research. Not that basic research is not good, but the one that there's already ready market for. And people in the private sector, they are always competing. If you have a good product today that is selling for $100 and your competitor 100,000 naira, and your competitor can devise another product that is going to cost them far less, then you will soon be out of market. And at times it's much easier to reach the top than to remain there. So that's why private concerns are always interested in research and development, because they want to stay competitive. So it's in our own interest as people in academia to relate with the end users of our products and processes, whether it's an algorithm that you are developing or a new material for road construction. So a company like Julius Berger that is involved in construction all over the country may be looking for a more suitable material, that is maybe resistant to water, for example. So if you can, because they want to stay ahead of competition. They're already doing very well, but they're already thinking of 10 years, 20 years down the line. As a going concern, not just the moment, but where they want to be in the next 10 years, 20 years. You might imagine a company like Nokia used to be perhaps the biggest phone manufacturing company in the world. But where is Nokia today? 20 years down the line. So if we now zero it down to our own environment, if it's a banking outfit, they're always in competition. That you are number one today doesn't mean that they're going to be number one in the next 10 years. And quite often the difference when you find out, it may be because one is investing more in a research and development and innovation. A company may be looking for an alternative to drilling mud in the Niger Delta at a competitive rate. It's not. There are so many products or recovery factor, whatever it is, where you are in reservoir engineering. So they want to stay competitive, and that's why there will always be need for research. And those of us in the university cannot do it alone. So just like as you mentioned, it's good for us to have a structured model in place. And I think about 7-8 years ago, the National Universities Commission, they midwifed a workshop whereby they invited vice chancellors of universities and pro-chancellors. So one of the major recommendations was that universities should have an office for the deputy vice chancellor, research and innovation, by whatever name you want to call it. Because the idea is that we cannot continue to remain an island unto ourselves. We need to relate more with the private sector, while government is always there to help us ensure a seamless handshake. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Olayinka. I think you've done justice to the question admirably. So there's a general question here. Again, some of these would have been touched upon earlier, so I'm leaving it open to any of the panelists who feels like making an additional contribution on this point, which is, what role can industry fellowship programs play in boosting Nigeria's global competitiveness in innovation? And of course, if all has been said is felt to be sufficient, then we can leave it at that, and I'll move on to the last question, and we'll move it back to the Secretariat. Okay, so the final question here is for Professor Ogaji, and that is, it's a question that sort of takes it back. So what can universities do to ensure that those who take the university lecturers themselves, the professors and the younger academics, to ensure that they acquire the basic industry exposure? Obviously, I'm sure in my mind, I'm reading this as, how can we ensure that the theories they are teaching are keeping pace with the current modern day realities and industry practices? So Professor Ogaji, this is for you.
Yes, thank you again for that question. And I think this is something that we know universities can achieve, I'm so glad when I heard the report, the appraisal system in Ibadan, giving weighting of 10, for patents, why probably maximum of 5 for research. We were all here when the university had a slogan, publish or perish. And we saw how that drove, in a way, reactively, people trying to improve on how they can publish, and so on. But I think a more proactive approach is required. And in that sense, university can, in trying to institutionalize skill-based education, which is competency-based education, provide incentives, incentives that will give faculties flexible time to spend some time in the industry, to upgrade themselves, where the university has a catalog of these industries that faculties can get to, and improve themselves. And again, it's important to also change the curriculum. Many times curriculum, especially for postgraduate training that are not regulated or accredited, they remain the same over time. We all know what the half-life of knowledge is, and it's important that periodically we change. And we know now that there are a lot of innovations or paradigms, when it comes to teaching, situations like problem-based, case-based, situation-based, and all that. We need to bring up and embrace this paradigm, and universities can drive it. Universities can also ensure that postgraduate research is not just conducting research without looking at the potential of those research to either answer questions or solve problems. As a matter of fact, universities should evolve a metrics, where research should make meaning, and it is only in that situation that postgraduate students get challenged, ensure that whatever they are doing, there is an industry that is giving them a letter of support, and that industry is going to work with them, and the industry is likely going to uptake whatever the result of that research will be, because we've just heard about the phenomenon of 1-10-100, getting to know the findings, putting it into an innovation and a patent, commercializing it. It's expensive and it requires support. And building that support from the beginning, is likely going to work better. And what about selling the narratives of wealth creation? I know in the university system, we've compared what we earn to what every other country earns. But looking inward, we could make very good and motivating narratives of faculties who have been in the business of innovation and then the wealth they have created. And this, to my mind, will change the narrative, and people will be motivated, to go in for that. So we need to explore all this. And I think the university, which I know many universities are tending towards now, they are beginning to build a stronger research, innovation, and commercialization ecosystem, but they need to ensure that no faculty, no postgraduate student is left behind, in this move. And this can be done through intentional processes, which the university can evolve.
Wow, thank you very much, Professor Ogaji. I would extend my appreciation to all of the panelists. I mean, obviously, the Secretariat, the Triple Helix folks will do their vote of thanks, but I will thank you. Even I have learned quite a lot. I'm sure this this meeting today. This webinar was recorded, and hopefully the ideas from this place will be taken beyond here and taken to whoever the decision-making desks, and we will see actionable steps beyond. Some of these things are already being done, but there are some new ideas that have been shared here today that I think we hope we will see them in practice. Thank you, everyone, and I'll hand back over to it's been enlightening. I will hand back over to the Secretariat of Triple Helix to wrap up the webinar.
All right, thank you very much, Barrister Shehu Mustafa, for that wonderful and engaging session that you've walked us through. I want to extend appreciations to everyone, the panelists, the moderator, and everyone that has been part of this session. The discussion have reaffirmed the critical role that industry fellowship programs play in bridging the gap between research and real-world application. Also unlocking innovation, fostering collaboration, and delivering national development. Let us also carry forward the ideas shared today with purpose and urgency. Whether you represent academia, industry, or government, your role in shaping Nigeria's innovation landscape is indispensable. So together, we can build a future where talent is nurtured, knowledge is commercialized, and innovation becomes a cornerstone of our economic growth. So thank you all once again. So moving forward, briefly, I will just take some announcements from the Secretariat. We know that soon we'll be having our conference, our science-based conference. We are moving from unlocking Nigeria's innovation potential through industry fellowship down to strengthening collaborative ecosystem for sustainable innovation and economic growth. So, and the conference comes up between 15th and 17th of October 2025. That is just next month, about 27 days to go. And it's holding at no other place but the PTTF Conference Center, Abuja. So please try and register and be part of this very conference. It's going to be, it promises to be engaging and innovative. Don't let anybody tell you the stories. Be part of this forthcoming conference. Thank you. So, as I said during the introductory session when I talked about our vision 10-10-10-10-10, and I told us that we will talk more on that, both the KPIs and the key milestones that we have achieved so far. This will be coming up next week, Wednesday, September 24th, during our monthly meeting. So please try and be part of that meeting. Ensure as a member you join this meeting. And our distinguished guests that may love to join us, you can reach out to the Secretariat after this webinar. Then we'll look at the modalities to ensure that you become part of the Triple Helix Nigeria network. So on this, we will go straight to the closing remark. And I will be inviting Professor Taufik to take us on the closing remark. Professor Taufik, thank you very much, and over to you, sir.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I hear you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. And our distinguished panelists, esteemed participants, ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the end of this engaging session on unlocking Nigerians' innovation potential through industry fellowship programs, I would like to express the deep appreciation to all who have contributed to making today a success. This conversation has reminded us that the Triple Helix model, partnership between academia, industry, and government, is not just a framework, but an opportunity to unite stakeholders for national transformation by harnessing the strengths of our universities in knowledge creation, industries in application and commercialization, and government in enabling policy and infrastructure. And we can create fellowship programs that prepare talents, accelerate innovation, and strengthen Nigeria's competitiveness on global stage. And I will mention that this particular aspect is one of the second pillars of the Triple Helix Nigeria, which is research and development collaboration. And there's been a couple of initiatives which is all around the fellowship, mobilization, initiation, and the likes. And of course, we are all welcome to participate within this. Our distinguished panelists, Professor Olayinka, Professor Ogaji, Mrs. Akikumi, and in absentia, Dr. Kaka, have offered invaluable insights on how collaboration can bridge skills, gaps, enhance research relevance, and unlock new opportunities for economic growth. There are challenges from fragmented funding and weak coordination, low emphasis on commercialization, skill gaps, poor infrastructures and inadequate technical support, limited private sectors investment in R&D and the likes. And we've heard about a lot of proposed solutions, insights. We thank you for all these insights and we appreciate you for all the knowledge you've given to us today. To our esteemed moderator, Sheikh Mustafa, thank you for steering the dialogue with excellence. And we must not leave here without call to action. Let us not allow today's idea to remain as discussions. Each of us, whether from academia, industry, government, or civil society, has a role to play in building sustainable fellowship programs that equip young Nigerians with skills, networks, and platforms to drive innovation. And also the call to action is join the Triple Helix Nigeria to be part of the ecosystem that will coordinate and actually create the enabling environment, pulling all the stakeholders together and being part of the growth. On behalf of Triple Helix Nigeria, I thank you all for your time, your contributions, and your commitment. Today, let us move from dialogue to action, from potential to impact. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much, Professor Taufik, for that wonderful closing remark. And before we go, ladies and gentlemen, I would like each and every one of us to use your best emoji and a clapping ovation to appreciate both the moderator and our panelists of tonight for the good job that they have done. I want to see those emojis. I want to see those clapping ovations for our moderator and the distinguished panelists. They have really done well for the program tonight. So, and on this note, I want to, on behalf of the Triple Helix Nigeria, appreciate everyone once again, from the moderator, the panelists, and all the participants who joined us tonight in this Triple Helix Nigeria webinar series 12. This will be the last webinar before we go for our conference by next month, October 15th through 17th. So hence, I want all of us to put our hands together and ensure that we work synergistically to unlock the innovation potentials that lies within the Nigerian citizens. And we know that with this, we are going to build the Nigeria of our day. So thank you, the moderator. Thank you, the participants. And on this note, we want to say goodbye to everyone who has been part of this unique session. Thank you very much, and bye. See you on Wednesday during our monthly meeting. Bye, and have a nice time. Bye. You can on your video and say bye to everyone. You can switch on your video and say bye before you leave. Let's see your beautiful face.
Bye.
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 Bye,
See
everyone.
you again.
See you
Bye.
again.
Bye, everyone. It's a privilege. Thank you.
Thank you.